Okay, so welcome to the next section of the song. This bit you're going to learn now is what I'd recognise as the main riff to the song, and it's my personal favourite bit to play in the song. It's got some really interesting techniques in it, such as fretting hand muting and 16th note syncopation. So if you're at all not sure on them, I recommend you check out the free lessons on the Cody Guitar website before learning this section. So basically I'll just show you the notes first and then we'll get into how to play it afterwards. So it starts off with your first finger on the E string, because obviously we're still in E minor here, E minor pentatonic. So yeah, you've got your first finger on that 7th fret there of the A string, so that's an E note, and then you've got your second finger on the G string at the 7th fret, so that's a D, and then finally your little finger is going to be fretting the 9th fret on the G string again, which is the octave of the E, so that's another E. And as you can hear, all you're doing for that first part of the riff is, so they're all 8th notes and there should be downstrokes. As I mentioned before in the last section, you're aiming with the 16th note syncopation to hit every 8th note with a downstroke, and then the notes in between, those E's and A's, as you like to count them, are upstrokes. So to start off with, you've got, and then we get a few 16th notes in this time. So you can hear there, that's now alternate picking. So it's down, 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 up, down. So yeah, you've got. Okay, so just to recap there, basically the idea is you're going to play down, 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 as they're all 8th notes. Down, up, down, down, up, down. So you've got down, 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 up, down, up, up. Those last two there, up, is there on the offbeat, if you like, they're on the E and the A. Up, up. And then finally, just at the end of the bar, you've got, starting on the E of 4, you've got E and A. So all in all, you've got down, 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 up, down, up, 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 down, up. And as you can hear there, that you may be wondering why that doesn't sound quite right the way it's been played. It sounds a bit flat. That's because the original uses fretting hand muting to really strike through those notes to give it a bit more attitude and character. If you're not too sure on fretting hand muting, I'll quickly recap now, but I do recommend you watch the free lesson on the Cody Guitar website to really get the hang of it, because it's quite important in this main riff to the song. So basically the concept is that as you're playing that note there, you're not only going to pick that note, you're going to sort of hit through quite a few strings. And basically, so the idea is you want to be muting all the strings that you're not fretting. So the best way to do that, I think, is your bar on the first finger to mute the ones underneath it. So you can hear that they're all muted underneath, and then I just like to bring my my second finger over the top to mute that E string. And then the same concept for the notes fretted on the G string, because you're doing them with the second and your 4th finger. You can just leave that first finger bar dampening those strings. So you can now hear that I'm actually strumming through all of those, but only fretting the ones we want to hear. And you can instantly hear that gives it a lot more character and attitude, and it sounds a lot better. And you can also hear there, those 2 upstrokes. It's a good idea to put a mute in between those. Give it a bit more syncopation and really get the feel of those 16th notes strumming through that. So I recommend you pause it there and just practice playing that first part of the riff with that technique, and really get the hang of those down and up strokes and where they fall. Just before you do that, if you are interested, the rhythm would be 1 and 2 and 3. So the first bit there is 1 and 2, and then you've got 16th note straight after, so it's and then you've got another E, so that'd be 3 E and A, and then finally 4 E and A. But as with the last section, I've just confused myself, and I'm sure I've confused you. It's much easier to actually just listen to it and really just, as long as you're doing those up and down strokes right, that should mean that naturally the rhythm is correct. So as I say, pause there and then practice that bit, and then you can come back and I'll show you the rest of that main verse riff. Okay, so you've got the hang of the first bar of that riff with the first finger on the E. You'll be glad to know that for the rest of the riff, not much changes other than the root note, the bass note. So for the first bar, you did that E there. Now your bottom note is the open D, and the rest is exactly the same. That's exactly the same rhythm as before, but you're playing off that D instead. You might already be thinking that's an open string, which instantly means you can't really strum through that as we did before. So I do find it easier just to actually make sure you pluck that one separate there, but it's also good, but it's good to sort of get a little double hit there, that one on there, and you can fret them together, play them together. And it's not a major problem if you hit that A by accident as well. It really doesn't actually matter that much, and you might realise listening to the original that he often doesn't play it the same every time, and that just all adds to the interest of the riff. I mean, you can throw your own little variations onto that riff there. But yeah, as I say, so that second bar is just off that D string there. And then the next bar, again, it's exactly the same rhythm, but now you've got this first finger back, but it's on the E string now on the 7th fret, which is a B. So the same concept applies. Give that little bar to mute the strings, and really strike through them there. And then final bar, you're moving up a semitone to the C, so that's the 8th fret of the E string. And now you're going to want to finger this one with your second finger, so there is a slight change in the way you're fretting the notes now. You're now going to be doing this bottom one, as I say, with your second finger there. So basically this 7th fret here now on the G string wants to be your first finger fretting that. And that's basically the whole of that riff. Now, it might be an idea to practice that all the way through, changing the root notes. A couple of final things I will mention about that riff. It is the verse riff and it repeats 4 times in the verse, but there's actually 1 time through before the verse without the vocals. And just a really small thing to pick up on. I actually like on that first time without the vocals to do a double hit there, do a 16th note. So the only thing that's changing, instead of doing the down, 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 you're just going to do, so it's down, up, down, down. And I tend not to play that again that way in the verse, but I'm sure if you listen to the Chili's live or anything, it wouldn't surprise me if he throws that in. So play around with it and maybe chuck it in a few other places if you like. And then finally, the last time with the verse before the chorus, the last bar, instead of doing that, he just moves to a chord instead. Just a little E minor triad there. So If you're not sure on your triads, you can check out the free lesson on the site, but basically it's just third finger on the 9th fret of the G string, that's your E, and then second finger on the 8th fret of the B string, your G, first finger on the 7th fret of the E string, that's your B. And if you listen to it in relation to the rest of the riff, it's just you've got that third time, so you're actually playing, that is actually straight 16th notes, but the way it's accented is hit the top 2 notes separate, and then, if you can hear that, so yeah, just play around with separating that root note to the top 2. So a strange thing you might realise about that, although it is 16th notes all the way through that bar, it's actually played in groups of 3, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, and that's just repeated 5 times within that bar, but you're still strumming in that alternate picking motion, so down, up, down, up, down, up. It's basically just for the purposes of accenting that lower E note there. So if you get the third time in that sequence, every time is that low E. But as with the rest of the riff, it's quite a loose way of playing, so don't worry if it's if you're not hitting separate notes as you feel you should be, because you've got that chord there. So as long as you're playing that chord, it is technically right. But as I say, that's just on the very last bar of that sequence of 5 times through that riff, and it leads right into the chorus. So I recommend you practice through that riff and then get used to doing that little alternate ending there on the last time, and then you can practice that along with the backing track in the next chapter. And once you're comfortable with that, I'll see you later for the chorus lesson.